Hi everyone, thank you for joining this show, Ask the Tax Girl. My name is Ola Sulaiman. I'm a chartered accountant, also a tax advisor. I work with small businesses and individuals, helping them with their tax issues. So on this show today, I'm going to answer 3 questions that have been asked in the last month. And this question would help you to understand the tax system in UK a bit better. So here goes the first question. Hi Ola, I've submitted my returns, but I think there might be a mistake in my returns. What can I do about that? So this question is about when you've submitted an incorrect returns. And I think it's because of the deadline and the pressure and you're not sure and you want to do the right thing. Now doing the right thing is very, very important. So let's say for this guy that's asked this question, he's just submitted tax return for 18-19. You can actually go back into the returns and resubmit an amended returns within 1 year after the submission deadline, which was 31st of January 2020. That's just gone. Now, HMRC can also go into that returns in the next few months and see if there are obvious mistakes that were done. Probably you put in the wrong POI information. They can pick that up easily. And then what happens with that is then they'll open an investigation into that returns, and then you can't amend that returns again because they got there before you. So if you think you've done a mistake in your return, the earlier the better you amend it before HMRC gets into it, and then they would have to give you a penalty for acting carelessly, except if you can prove that it was not a careless mistake or it was not deliberate. And your penalty could go from 30% to 100% of the tax unpaid. And that takes me to the second question. And I think this second question is it's also a VAT return that was submitted and there are mistakes in the returns. So the question goes to us, how can I amend my VAT returns? Now, you can actually amend your VAT returns, but there are 3 conditions that have to be met before you can do that. First one is the net value of the VAT that is involved. Is it less than £10,000? So the next one is, has this happened less than 4 years ago? And the third one was, is it deliberate? Is it a deliberate action? Have you done it on purpose? I don't know how you prove that. Anyway, as soon as you've met all of this condition, all you then need to do is to adjust your next VAT returns. What you do is, if you're owing HMRC, you'd have to add it to the box 1 of your VAT return. But if you're being owned by HMRC, as in you've overpaid VAT, then you put it on the box 4 of your VAT returns. However, if you don't meet any of the conditions I've stated earlier on, all you then need to do is to write HMRC, fill a form and explain your situation and get these VAT returns amended. Like I said with the self-assessment return as well, you don't want to actually wait for them to open an investigation on your returns before it's amended. Your case gets worse by then as well. The third one is actually a very funny one because personally I don't actually love talking about it, and it's child benefits. Also, the one I don't like talking about at all is child tax credits. The reason why I don't actually like talking about it is because of 2 reasons. Usually when they tell you that you're owing tax credits, it's probably because you're owing them money. 70% of the time. And the reason is because the information they use in calculating your tax credits is based on your last year's return or based on your last year's information. So at times, most of the time, it's either they're paying you too little or they're paying too much. So usually I don't like dragging too much. All I literally have to say is, did you inform them if there's been a change in your circumstance? However, the child benefit question I would like to talk about today is usually when you earn or your partner earns more than 50,000 in a tax year, you automatically fall under child benefits self-assessment reason why you have to submit self-assessment returns. The reason is because there's a cutback on how much you should be receiving for child benefit as soon as that happens. So usually, as soon as one of you, not the joint income, as soon as one of you reaches 50,000, then you'd have to declare a true self-assessment return. And basically what happens is it's being taxed. And then if you don't then declare that, that's going to cause an issue for you in future, and you don't want to fall into that category as well. Because what happens is all this money piles up and then it causes issue in future. Now, that takes me to another question, because I think I've just literally answered this question quickly and jump to the next one. Now, the question is then, how do I keep my records? Okay? A lot of people love keeping papers. I think it's just the feeling that I've paid for this, I need to literally keep the paper version. It's very good. Now, what I would say is, if you're that kind of person, or whichever system you want to go by, just make sure that it's arranged properly. Like, month of January, you roll it up together, or you put it in a folder, so that in case you need to find it, you know where it is. However, the best way to go about it is taking pictures or scanning them in a digital form. The reason is because some of these receipts now, they actually, after some time, you wouldn't see the figures on them, they will literally wipe off. So I think digital method is my kind of way. Those paper ones are good, you can keep them for future and then use them later on if there's an investigation. According to the tax rule, you're supposed to keep them for 6 years, but if there's a major tax investigation, 20 years. So record keeping is very, very important. Just because if your accountant or somebody needs to go through your work, they need to know what you've done. And if you've not kept any record, nobody knows what you've done, and then you're just claiming what you should not be claiming. So I hope on today's show I've been able to answer 1 or 2 questions that probably you've been thinking about. So if you have any question for me for next week, kindly send it to my email, taxgirl@ronsusaccountant.co.uk or info@ronsusaccountant.uk, or better still, send me a DM or ask a question on the YouTube channel. I'll definitely answer your question in the next show. I hope this show has been educative, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much. My name is Ola Sulaimon.